So a few months ago I reviewed the Marshall Minor II and said that if you want a better option for your TV, that the Marshall Woburn III might be the better solution for you. Well, today we're taking a look at it. So let's get into it. This is the Marshall Woburn III and it is the largest in the range of home wireless speakers for Marshall, but it's still fairly compact. The Woburn III also has a few tricks up its sleeve that make it amazing and make buying the Woburn III over the Acton or the Stanmore a no-brainer for me, and it might do that for you as well. When it comes to the design, Marshall stayed true to its minimal but stylish look, but they actually took a more sustainable route this time around. The Woburn III is made entirely out of vegan material and is made with 70% recycled plastic, which is always great to see from large companies like these. You still get the iconic Marshall logo dead center, but with this iteration you don't have the thick gold trim at the bottom, but rather this more subtle trim, which I actually kind of like a little bit more. Then in terms of buttons and dials, everything can be found at the top, and starting from the left you have your 3.5mm input, your indicator lights to show what source you're currently listening to, then you have your source button that you can either single press to shuffle through the different modes or hold in to start Bluetooth pairing. Then to the right of that you do have 3 dials, starting with the volume far left. Then you have your bass, followed by the treble, which of course can be used to change the EQ slightly. Next to that is also something that has changed from the second to the third range, and that is this Bluetooth media control button that can either be pressed to play and pause, or tilted left or right to go to the previous track or skip to the next song. And then lastly is the on and off switch, which they also changed this time around with just a simple toggle switch that feels amazing. Marshall also made some big changes with the Woburn III as they sort of re-engineered it. So with the Woburn III you do have the 3-way driver system, which consists of a 6-inch woofer, 2 angled 3/4-inch tweeters and 2 2-inch mid-range drivers, and I have to say that the sound of this unit is amazing. Now via the app you still have a few settings that you can change, but they also took away a few features that I love from the Acton II and that I still frequently use. For example, the multi-band EQ. So with the Woburn III you can still change the EQ, but this time around you can only change the bass and the treble, so you don't have any sort of extras above the physical dials themselves. Then you also have placement compensation, where they will ask you whether it is close to an edge or a wall to compensate for its position to provide you with the best possible audio in that situation, which is great. And then lastly is probably the coolest feature about the Woburn III, and that is night mode. Now we've all been in this situation where you either watch your favorite movie or series and you can barely sort of hear what people are saying, but the explosions and music and everything else is just so much more loud compared to the voices that you have to crank up the volume every time you want to hear someone speak, but then as soon as an explosion goes off, you sort of bother everybody around you. Now this of course ruins the immersion of whatever it is that you're watching, because you either have to turn the volume down and have subtitles to read what the people are actually saying, or you need to sit there and play with the volume every time the volume goes up and down, which can be a little bit of a pain. So what night mode does is it reduces the louder noises while still making it able for you to hear all of the lower end noises like people speaking, making it a more pleasurable experience, especially for those late night movie or series sessions. Now just keep this in mind that this feature only works via the HDMI connection, so if you want to make use of it, definitely ensure that you have the HDMI connected to your TV. Now to connect the Woburn III via HDMI, you will need to connect an HDMI cable from the TV's HDMI port that says eARC. Once you have done that, anything displaying on the TV will have its audio redirected to the Woburn III, whether that is your console or your streaming sites. Everything will go through that as long as you select the Woburn III as your audio source. Now I did try and record night mode, but it doesn't really translate really well when you're recording it and trying to show it off in a video like this, but it is a really great feature to have for people either living in apartments or houses that are closer together, or just people who rely on subtitles to hear anything when they're watching movies or series, as it sort of compresses all of the audio in this more central area, which makes it a little bit easier to actually hear everything people say, because all of that background noises are suppressed quite a lot. What I really love about the Woburn III is its versatility, as there's so many different ways that you can connect to it, and the Bluetooth feature is probably my favorite, as I'm not only able to listen to music, but you can connect almost any device and enjoy audio with close to zero delay. For example, I love using the Woburn III while I play games on my Switch. I simply connect to it via Bluetooth and the Woburn III does all of the heavy lifting. There's no noticeable delay with the audio and video, but the difference the audio quality makes compared to the built-in speakers are night and day. Now, while testing the Woburn III, there's one thing that is clear, and that is that this thing is loud. As in, I barely use it above 30% for anything that I do, whether that is listen to music or watching TV. Now, if you have a larger space than I do, then you might want to crank up the volume a little bit more to fill up those areas, but it does just mean that you do have a lot more headroom to work with. So if you have larger spaces, then this thing should be loud enough to sort of fill all of those areas. But here is a little sound test of how the Woburn III sounds, so let's take a listen.
Just met, barely, just you, just me, we're basically strangers falling. Downtown, chilling, heartbeat spilling, don't wanna trip and fall in love. Is it bad that you seem too good? See the end way before I should. I know we just started, but if you're listening to my heart, you might find out the weirdest part. I am already missing you from the start.
But now let's sort of talk about who this speaker is for and whether or not you should actually go and get yourself one. So if you're someone who's just looking for a Bluetooth speaker to listen to music to, then this is probably going to be way overkill for you. Now, if you want a Marshall speaker and you want something that's sort of similar to this one, then I would highly suggest either looking at the Acton or the Stanmore. They all look very similar to each other, they all function very similarly, and they all sound really good, but of course they're smaller and cheaper, which is going to be a better solution if you just want something to listen to music on. Now, you can also look at other options that Marshall has. They do have a lot of wireless Bluetooth speakers, but you can also look at other options out there. You don't have to stay within the Marshall lineup. The Woburn III can also still be a really great option if you're still just looking for a speaker to listen to music to, especially if you have larger areas and you want a speaker that is loud enough to the point where you can actually hear it and hear it clearly throughout the entire space. Then the Woburn III could still be a really great option for you. For me, the Marshall Woburn III is more for people looking for a home entertainment system rather than just a Bluetooth speaker to listen to music to. The Woburn III for me should be connected to your TV and used to watch your favorite movies and TV shows with, and then also be used as a Bluetooth speaker to really justify the upgrade for me from the Stanmore 3 or even the Acton III. For me, the Marshall home range of speakers have always been about the look and the feel that they give you, and that is why you would want to buy the Marshall Woburn III. It is meant to be a showpiece that doesn't really demand attention but still gets it, but also provides you with great audio quality, and that is sort of what you pay for with Marshall audio products. And if that isn't what you want, or if that isn't what you need, and you just want something that has good audio quality, then there's probably another audio device out there that will be better suited for you. And on that bombshell, I end this video. Until next time, cheers.